enjoyed children's literature. The professor, I can't remember her name. She was so enthusiastic and she could tell, and she worked in a school library. She lived and breathed children's lit and had all sorts of games and connections and, to try and reinforce everything that she was trying to help these kiddos to learn.
I loved my adult services class, super hands-on. The projects we did will definitely carry on into my career, and they're things that I'll be doing as a librarian. So I feel like I learned a lot. I got a lot of great feedback from my professor. Um, I also really enjoyed the not intro, sorry, young adult literature. I loved reading those books, learning more about YA novels, and how to recommend those books to youth.
Think one of my favorite courses, if I'm recalling correctly, it was essentially a collection development course. And one of the assignments I distinctly remember was we had to come up with like a mini collection or answer a string of readers' advisory questions. We got to pick there's like an option of topics, we got to pick one, but you couldn't just go for the easy pick. So I think I had selected like this topic overall was the Civil War. I had done one more and like the Reconstruction, specifically the Continental Railroad, but I didn't want to tell the very known story of like a bunch of men building the railroad because there's more stories to it than that. So the goal was to find stories about women in the Continental Railroad, African Americans in the Continental Railroad, how it impacted indigenous peoples, how the Asian population, specifically the Chinese population, was impacted by it. And so to find those materials and to make it well-rounded so that the pseudo student that we were helping could do their homework, could complete their paper. And I've been able to flex that muscle so much in my profession and kind of bring patrons along when they're doing homework like, hey, if your professor or your teacher hasn't said explicitly, this is the metric, why not go for a different story? Why not try a different angle? Why not use this as well and see where it takes you? And I've gotten feedback from patrons before where they like, my professor was so happy that I didn't tell like the regular story of the thing. I found so much more information on this topic. So I really liked that class, and I always keep that in the forefront to like challenge the typical story that we all know to like bring something else to the table.
There was a course, and oh my gosh, I feel so terrible that I can't remember the name of it. But essentially, the course involved designing your library. And I mean from the top to bottom in regards to a living space, recognizing the building in which you operate as a living space that required um, constant reflection, right? I took that class with Eric Rose, and it really transformed the way that not only I view my working space, but my library as a whole. I still find myself every single day when I'm walking through the building, looking at spaces, thinking like, is this really being utilized to the best of its potential? Like, could we? What can we do for our students in this little corner?